It was San Antonio, Texas, at 3 a.m. The year was 2020, and the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic had triggered nationwide lockdowns. Non-essential businesses were shuttered, draining the normal hum of human activity from the streets and leaving the city abnormally empty. Stuck inside with nothing to do, an 18-year-old guy and a girl he was freshly dating decided to push back against the quarantine. He was an experienced urban explorer, accustomed to navigating the quiet corners of the city at night. They headed for Oak-Schnabel Park. While it's a scenic nature reserve during the day, police regularly barricade the entrances at night. It carries a grim history, including a brutal stabbing in 2016 and a fatal shooting just a few years later. Stepping into a sprawling, pitch-black forest with a history of violence creates a unique psychological environment. In the absence of city life, you are isolated in a sensory vacuum. To avoid being spotted from a distance, the explorer made a specific tactical decision. They kept their flashlights off. The thick tree canopy completely blocked the moonlight, plunging them into near-total darkness as they navigated the main trail. About 20 minutes into the walk, he noticed something unsettling. The woods were entirely devoid of ambient sound. There were no insects, no whistling wind, and no rustling leaves. When the ambient noise of an ecosystem suddenly drops to zero, it forms an acoustic void called the pre-predator hush. This silence triggers human biological alarm bells, signaling that local wildlife has detected an active threat. Walking blindly through this dark environment leaves the brain hyper-primed. It instinctively expects the unnatural silence to be violently broken. 2 minutes into an off-road dirt trail, the silence vanished. A flute began to play. The sound was clear, highly structured, and playing in perfect cadence. Someone was out there in the pitch black executing a deliberate piece of music. Hearing a crafted melody in the dark woods creates a severe mismatch between the environment and expected stimulus. Instead of wildlife, you receive structured art. Without a logical box, the standard threat assessment system crashes, dropping the mind into high-alert panic. Finding undeniable evidence of another human being in an isolated zone where no one should be forces the mind to struggle with its own reality. His date immediately began trembling and praying out loud. The acoustics of the dense trees made it impossible to locate the origin of the flute. The music seemed to drift from the main trail, but then swelled, sounding like it was closing in on them from all directions simultaneously. With the situation escalating, the explorer grabbed his date, and they sprinted blindly down the dirt path to escape. They made it 30 feet when the bushes abruptly rustled. Leaves and twigs snapped violently as a massive physical entity dashed directly across their path. The physics of the encounter defied logic. He physically felt the size and wind of the mass, and clearly heard the exact moment it crossed the trail. No sound of it approaching, no sound of it running away, and only empty space where a silhouette should be. The body is caught in a total contradiction. Auditory and tactile nerves report a massive kinetic threat mere inches away, while the eyes insist that the space is completely empty. Blinded and blocked by an invisible mass, they instantly turned around and blindly bolted back toward their starting point. As soon as they returned to the trail opening, the flute resumed. This time, it belted out an Irish jig loud and clear directly over their position, as if the player had been waiting for them to retreat. They were physically and psychologically trapped. Down the dirt path lay an unseen mass. Back toward the paved trail lay an unlocalizable threat. Rational deduction failed completely. Survival instincts took over, forcing an adrenaline-fueled jog back to the parking lot. When you strip away a person's ability to categorize the danger around them, curiosity dies. The only objective left is immediate physical extraction. They reached his truck, the only vehicle in the entire area, and sped away, physically safe but permanently shaken. In the days following, the explorer scoured the internet for similar accounts. He found zero logical explanations for a perfectly played flute deep in those woods, nor for a heavy, silent, invisible mass crossing a trail. One might search for answers in unverified stories of local cults or ghosts, but the lasting impact of this encounter comes from how the environment weaponized the unknown. Stripping away our sight and the ability to pinpoint a threat, resets our evolutionary standing. In these moments, we realize that while the dark is unsettling, the sound that breaks a dead silence is what truly signals our vulnerability.